Hello, my darlings. This is Alice again. I came from the beach, took a shower, kind of was feeling really, how can I say, relaxed, very, little bit tired, right? But then I lay down for a bit and then I decided to make a dinner because I'm also hungry, right? So today I'm going to show you, first of all, I wanted to let you know that this is not a cooking channel. I just want to make it very clear. This is not a cooking channel. It's just I am sharing with you guys how simple it is not to participate in animal suffering in that sense, right? So how easy it is and simple to prepare vegan dishes that are very delicious and satisfying in that sense, right? I know when we switch to any type of new routines in that sense, our body has to adjust. So our system has to adjust in that sense, right? So even switching to veganism, especially when we're switching to veganism, when, for example, our body was, let's say, used to basically consuming animal flesh or animal produce in that sense, right? Some dairy, cheese, everything, right? So I personally, for 40 years, I was a meat eater in that sense, right? Except for 3 to 4 years as being vegetarian during this 40 years. So it's very, I would say, it's very difficult to break that bond that we actually have within our culture, within our traditions, to basically switch to vegan lifestyle. However, guys, with switching to the vegan lifestyle, we are clearing out illusions and programming and conditioning, whatever was basically, I would say, placed on us, that we were born into the system of conditioning and programming in that sense, right? So it's kind of like we're breaking free from, as we say, from the matrix. And many of you think that you possibly broke from the matrix. But I will tell you one thing. If you are still eating meat, if you are still consuming animal products, if you are still participating in entertainment which is based on animal suffering, right, which is based on exploitation and suffering of the living being, you have not left the matrix. I'll tell you that. So by leaving matrix, in my understanding and how information comes in, we're basically are breaking off the illusory constructs, right, of those illusions that are holding us back in that sense to achieve our highest and best, to basically make this connection with the source stronger, that this source energy could take us and bring us to the places that we have not even imagined, right? That we have not even dreamt about. Do you remember, as I was telling you, that it's not in system's interest to make us healthy, to make us well educated, to make us, I would say, independent thinkers in that sense. You can be educated, but I've met many educated people who are not actually free thinkers. They're mostly received their education, right? However, if you ask them some other critical thinking questions, they are getting lost in those critical thinking questions in that sense, right? So being educated doesn't mean that you actually, you are, I would say, possess this level of intelligence to, I would say, to not to get into the traps of the system in that sense, right? And the one is the most recent one. I can tell you it happened in 2020. Some of you possibly know what I'm talking about, right? 2019, 2020, many people went into this trap. So those traps are set up within our system. And if we're not consciously aware about what's going on, right, that the goal of the system is actually keep us kind of sick, keep us dependent on the system. So I would say the system, look at the system, look at the matrix. It's kind of like a partner with whom you have very toxic relationship, right? This partner doesn't want you to let go. This partner wants you to be dependent on them. This partner wants you to being basically miserable in that sense, just well enough that you cannot live in that sense, right? And so that's the system, but we're not here to actually operate from the point of victimization in that sense, and that's not my intention. So I just wanted to say that basically breaking from those type of illusory constructs, those type of programming of being participating in I would say participating in exploitation of the living beings, it's, I would say, challenging at first. However, I'm actually currently reading a very beautiful book, and I think I'm going to actually start promoting this book when I finish reading it, right? Because I would like to finish reading this book. It's called World Peace Diet. World Peace Diet. So basically, it goes into all of the details, right? All of the details on how everything is interconnected and how it is connected. So the link is already posted within the Expand Awareness resources that I actually, the link to this Expand Awareness resources, I have it within my personal vlog page, link page, right? So you will be able to see that link to this PDF, free PDF online through that awareness, Expand Awareness resource page. In that sense, it's within my bio. You guys can see it. Okay, so let's start preparing the dinner. It's very, very simple. What I wanted to say, it's very, how can I say, on the beginning, it's very challenging to break from this kind of programming and conditioning. And then our taste buds, they're basically changing every 3 weeks or so, our taste buds are changing. So the more we don't consume animal flesh, the more we become indifferent to it. And the more we start gravitating towards foods that we are basically eating, right? Like plant-based foods in that sense, the whole foods as well. And I also, guys, will share with you how with this spiritual development, infinite consciousness, infinite intelligence within me, it's actually turned me off of all of the vitamins and all of the supplements in that sense, right? So I only derive my vitamins and supplements from I would say from nature and from the food source, from the whole food source. Okay, guys, so yeah, so it's challenging at first, but then when we adjust and when we get used to it, that's when it becomes really, I would say, rewarding in that sense. And our connection, I would add you one thing. So our connection with the source, it's actually, I would say, it's becomes deeper in that sense, because our vessel becomes cleaner. We clear our vessel by consuming the very living foods in that sense, right? The fruits, the vegetables, the nuts. I don't know. Sometimes I like nuts. I like peanuts. I like almonds, but I love fruits. So this is my thing in that sense. So our vessel becomes clearer, and when our vessel becomes clearer, it's easier for the source energy to move through us to basically our mind, so we receive more clarity within our brain in that sense, right? We receive more, I would say, energy. We receive more clarity. Overall, I feel there are a lot of benefits switching to vegan lifestyle. However, it's a process, right? And so many of you who, let's say, switch to vegan lifestyle and you feel that you're feeling weak, you feel like you maybe feel dizzy and whatnot, it's actually it's a good sign, because it actually tells you that I think I'm not a doctor, right? So I am speaking from my personal experience. So none of my words should be taken like literally. I'm just sharing my personal experiences. So I want to make this disclaimer. I used to be in real estate, so I want to make it very, very clear. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. You guys do whatever you feel the best for you in that sense. I want to make it very, very clear, right? To kind of remove the liability from my shoulders in that sense. I'm just sharing my personal experience in that sense, right? What I went through which path I went through, right? And so what I was talking about, so at first, when you switch to vegan lifestyle, you may feel weak in that sense. You may feel that something is missing. You will feel maybe fatigued. You might feel some dizziness, or maybe some just very unusual, I would say, feeling. And typically you will start feeling it possibly within the first week, right? However, it's a good sign, in my opinion, and how information comes to me, because actually our body starts to detoxify in that sense. It's basically the process of detoxification. It starts, and so our body is basically clears itself out. Our body is a very intelligent, super intelligent system in that sense, so it knows what it needs. We just need to stay away from our body and allow this body to do a work that it needs to do, right? Okay, so alrighty guys, so let's start with the cooking. Again, I didn't expect this video to be that long. I just wanted to make a quick introduction to our dinner right now, right? Okay, so I will demonstrate all the cooking right now.